This is the 365 Days of Multi-Level Marketing Journey to Freedom podcast with Rome Batchelor, where Rome shares his daily journey from down and out to total financial freedom in 1 year, along with pro tips, tricks, strategies, and tools to help you join in on the journey. Now, here's Rome with today's Journey to Financial Freedom podcast.
So today we're going to talk about your lead generation and prospecting posture. Yesterday we talked about posture from another perspective. Today we're going to talk about it from your empowerment perspective when you're talking to prospects. Here's why. When you know you have hundreds of other people to speak to, you care much less if any one person is interested. Well, today I want to go even further than that and broader than that. If you know you have more than one source for prospects, you definitely are empowered when a prospect is not interested. You know that not only do I have other people to talk to, but I have other sources of people to talk to that will never run dry. I will keep having the ability to speak to people until I find the leaders I need to work with to develop the business that of my dreams. So yes, think about multiple sources of leads. So most leaders have a go-to source for their leads, for their prospecting. However, I would encourage you to consider having a plan B and possibly even a plan C process. I will give you an illustration. Years ago, there was an MLM cruise that was put on by Cass Publishing. I still think it goes on every year. It has certainly gone on for decades by Big Al, Tom Schreider, and now with Art Jonak. Some good guys, friends of mine. However, they did an interview on one time. These cruises are the leaders amongst different company lines. They were one of the first, if not the first, to unify leaders amongst different companies to learn from each other, to improve one another, and to sharpen one another's understanding of this industry and share. And so there they did a question, and they asked, where did you come from? Did you come from an ad? Who came from an ad? What leaders here, what 6-figure, 7-figure earners here came from a response to an ad? And believe it or not, some people stood up. How many people came from warm market? You knew the person that called you up and prospected you and showed you the business, and or introduced you to someone to show you the business for them. And a huge majority actually stood up. So that was a clue as to what's most effective, because there's a level of trust. However, when they asked, like, who got a tape, back then it was a tape, in the mail, and you responded to that, and people stood up. How many of you got a letter in the mail? People stood up, and there was different methods. This is back before the internet, back before email. How many people responded to all these different ideas? And they found that most of the ideas that they threw out there, someone, or if not some, most of the time, someone's stood up. So the lesson of today is that your leaders, your people, can and most likely will come from multiple sources. Now, warm market has been proven traditionally to be the most successful, again, because of trust. However, now we have Facebook and we have all these other online methods to lead generate, to add on top of or replace that for many people. But what I want you to consider is think about your plan A, have it identified, and then add on a second and a third source, which will give you that strength and that empowerment, that confidence that will be conveyed. And not only will you feel it, but it will be conveyed subtly in your message, and prospects will feel it. They will be drawn more likely in than drawn away. You want to be pulley and not pushy, and this is one way to help you become more naturally pulley, so prospects lean in and are drawn towards wanting to qualify themselves to joining you versus you having to qualify them that they should join, qualify your business and you so that for them. So you want to flip the switch a little bit, and anything you can do to empower yourself to do that. And the first place to start is in your mindset and your beliefs and your convictions. And this is one way that you do that. You have to know you don't need them. If anything, there's a chance they need you, but you don't need them, because you not only have other people, you have other sources. So in my case, if you've been listening to the podcast, I have found a source for leads that beats anything I've ever found in decades of looking. And it is my go-to source. But yesterday, I ordered 100 brochures so I could have them on hand with me in the car about my key go-to product, so that I could go to my expanded or extended warm market. What's that? My expanded or extended warm market is a term that I learned from Art Williams, who founded A.L. Williams, who built a team of hundreds of thousands of people back when only a very, very small few had ever done that before. And he did it by building his warm market, and then by writing letters to those in his same profession. He calls that his expanded or his extended warm market. It was still his warm market. It was not someone that knew him by name, but they knew him by profession. They had that bond, that connection. Like in my case, I come from an insurance background. I also come from a car salesman background. I also come from a cell phone industry background. And I also come from a military background. Yeah, I've done a lot of things. But the interesting and exterminating, if I haven't said that, as well. So I have a large, expanded warm market that I can tap into. And there's a connection. So when I talk to somebody, it doesn't feel like a complete stranger with no reason. I can talk from my own experience. Look, I was in the insurance business for many years. I found something that I'm totally excited about that allowed me to blank and blank and blank. And I was just curious if you'd be open to my sharing some information with you on blank. Or if you know anyone in the insurance industry that's kind of burnt out and tired of all the changes and the red tape and et cetera, that might be open to an alternative way to make a very professional income. In fact, potentially double their insurance income with less stress. If you do, boom. So that could be face-to-face. That could be through any correspondence on the phone. But I prepared myself with a plan B so that if I pass an insurance agency and I have time, guess what? I'm not dependent on plan A. I also have plan B. If I went to 100 insurance agents and said that, I'd probably sponsor 20 of them. Or at least a good deal, because face-to-face is always a higher percentage than on the phone or any other mode. So it's all good. It all works. I've got my online telephone system and I've got my face-to-face. So I don't need any one source to work for me this week or this month or this year or this day. I don't even need any one person for sure. I have multiple sources. So today I want you to consider thinking about that. The system I'm using is working wonderfully. If anyone wants to know about that, please send me an email. The email is 365daysofmlm@gmail.com. So with that, this is Rome Batchelor. Think of your sources, not just your leads themselves. And until tomorrow, this is Rome Batchelor inviting you to join in the journey.
Thank you for sharing today's 365 Days of MLM to Freedom podcast. And remember to email your questions and comments directly to Rome at 365daysofmlm@gmail.com. And until next time, we want to encourage you to join in on the journey.